The night had the kind of silence that carries weight. Above the Hale estate, the sky stretched vast and merciless, ink black, pierced by the pale shimmer of distant stars. The wind crawled through the trees with a whisper, brushing across the glass walls of the mansion that rose like a fortress of light in the wilderness. Inside, laughter clinked against crystal, music swelled beneath chandeliers that burned with gold. Every detail gleamed with wealth and order. And at the center of it all stood Victor Hale, the man who built empires out of silence and precision. His eyes, the gray of steel under rain, watched everything as if he owned it, because he did. To him, chaos was an enemy and control was religion. That night, he was the host of a gala that promised to unite science, philanthropy, and spectacle. But beneath the charm and tailored smiles, there was a wager, a public test of power disguised as charity. On a screen behind the stage flickered the live feed of an outdoor enclosure, chain-link walls lined with frost, a silver wolf pacing in the dim light. The creature's breath steamed in the cold. Its eyes glowed amber. Every guest who looked at the image felt a shiver they couldn't quite explain. Victor raised his glass, his tone steady, confident. "That," he said, "is Ash. Rescued from illegal trafficking. No handler, no trainer, no expert has calmed him. He rejects every form of submission, every act of kindness. So I offer a challenge. If anyone can approach him and earn his trust tonight, I will fund a sanctuary across this valley worth $200 million. If not, the land becomes my next project." Progress doesn't wait for sentiment. The room hummed, half amusement, half disbelief. Applause scattered like coins thrown into a fountain. Victor smiled faintly. The bet wasn't about the wolf, it was about himself. About proving that even the wild, even nature itself could be bent to human will. Far below the ballroom, in the silent arteries of the mansion, another story was beginning. The service corridors were narrow, smelling of soap and rain. There, a woman in her 30s stacked polished plates with tired hands. Her name was Anna, and beside her, holding a folded towel and wearing oversized headphones, stood her daughter, Maya. Maya was 10 years old, autistic and nonverbal. She had eyes that seemed to see past sound, past noise, into the pulse of things. She didn't speak, but she heard the world differently, through vibration, rhythm, breath. When others saw confusion in her stillness, she was simply listening. Anna worked long nights, taking catering shifts to keep their small apartment warm. She brought Maya along when she couldn't find a sitter. Maya didn't mind, she liked the quiet corners and the soft hum of machines. She always carried a small tablet, the one that spoke for her when she pressed its glowing keys. But most nights she didn't need it. The silence spoke enough. As the evening stretched on, the storm outside began to build. Thunder rumbled softly beyond the glass. Upstairs, guests took turns trying to tame the wolf. They entered the pen one by one. Trainers, behaviorists, handlers with confident smiles and precise tools. Each failed in a different way. Some tried dominance. Some tried affection. Some tried tricks. None understood that Ash wasn't a puzzle to be solved. He was a wound in the shape of an animal. Victor watched through the glass, his expression cool, almost bored. Around him, the crowd murmured, waiting for the next failure. The air inside the gala felt colder than the storm outside. In the service hallway, Maya paused near a monitor broadcasting the wolf's image. She tilted her head, transfixed. His pacing wasn't random, she could see the pattern, the rhythm of distress repeating in small loops. The rise of his chest. The pause before the turn. The flick of his ear at every distant clap of thunder. She felt it inside her body like an echo. When Anna turned to fetch another tray, Maya noticed a door slightly open, rain seeping in through the gap, bringing with it the scent of pine and soil. Without thinking, she stepped outside. The terrace was slick with rain. Below, in the half-lit field, the enclosure glimmered like a cage of light. The wolf was there, alive, immense and trembling with energy. Maya didn't move closer. She simply stood, sideways, her gaze gentle, her posture calm. She exhaled slowly, matching the rhythm of the animal's breathing she had memorized from the screen. Inside the ballroom, Victor's voice carried above the storm. "A creature like this understands only two things, power and fear." He didn't know that outside, a small girl had already proven him wrong. The wolf stopped pacing. His eyes found her. Rain shimmered between them like a curtain. Maya reached into her pocket, pulling out a paper cup from the catering tray. She filled it from a bottle of water she had taken earlier, then placed it near the railing. Her fingers hovered over the tablet strapped to her chest. One soft, synthetic voice broke the silence. "Hello." The wolf's ears twitched. "Water." She stepped back. Waited. Ash lowered his head, sniffed the air, and after a long moment drank. The rain fell harder. Somewhere deep inside her, Maya smiled. She understood him, not with language but with rhythm. Two beings who lived between worlds had found a frequency only they could hear. At that same moment, a strong gust sent an umbrella crashing down onto the fence. The metallic clang startled everyone. Inside the pen, a handler slipped and fell, the open gate behind him swinging wide. The wolf froze. The man's eyes filled with terror. Victor leaned forward in alarm, gesturing to shut the feed off. But it was too late. Maya saw it happen. She pressed her palm to her chest, grounding herself in the rhythm she knew would calm the fear. She whispered, not through words but through breath. Her tablet spoke. Safe. It's okay. Her voice was a whisper of rain. Her hands rose slowly, palms open. The wolf turned toward her instead of the man. His chest expanded, then released. The tension left his muscles. His tail lowered. He took one step aside, clearing a path. The handler stumbled through the gate and slammed it shut behind him. Inside the enclosure, Ash sat down. He blinked once, slowly. The storm's growl softened into rain. Victor stared at the monitors, frozen. The heart rate data of the wolf showed a steady drop. He could see the girl's small frame through the mist, her calm body mirrored in the wolf's. For the first time in his life he saw control replaced by connection, and it terrified him. He left the room. No one noticed the billionaire stepping away from his party, past the guests who drank and speculated about bets and beasts. He walked into the rain, down the terrace stairs until he reached the child. Anna stood at the doorway, breathless, ready to scold her daughter, but she froze when she saw the scene. Her child stood at the railing, the wolf calm inside the enclosure, and the rain fell between them like glass. Victor stopped a few steps away. "May I stay?" he asked softly. Maya didn't answer. She didn't need to. Her head tilted slightly, permission without a word. He crouched, knees creaking, and waited. For a long time, the three of them stayed like that, the billionaire, the child, and the creature born of fear. And in that silence, something ancient shifted. The wolf lay down. When morning came, the news had already spread. The billionaire's wolf has been tamed by a silent girl. Headlines flooded the internet, each one missing the truth. What happened that night wasn't taming, it was remembering. At a press conference the next day, Victor stood before cameras, his voice quieter than usual. "I said the wild could be negotiated," he began. "I was wrong. It could only be listened to." The child who calmed Ash is Maya. She didn't teach him obedience, she reminded him of peace. He paused, his voice breaking for the first time in public. "I made a bet for pride. Instead I found humility. So I'm keeping my word. The Hale Wildlife Sanctuary will begin today, and our children's program will be named after my brother, Leo Hale, who taught me long ago that silence is another form of love." Reporters fell silent. Maya stood beside her mother, holding her tablet. She pressed a key. "Practice." Victor smiled through tears. "Yes," he said softly. "Practice." Weeks passed. The stormy valley thawed into green. Ash's enclosure was expanded into the forest, where invisible fences gave way to freedom. The mansion that once symbolized isolation now stood at the edge of something living. On the morning of the release, Maya stood beside the gate with her mother and Victor. The ranger asked when to open it. Maya typed one sentence. "Go when ready." The gate opened. The wolf stepped forward, cautious but sure. His paws sank into wet earth. He stopped once, turned his head, and met Maya's eyes across the distance. No fear. No command. Just understanding. Then he walked into the wild, disappearing into the whispering pines. Victor exhaled. His hand trembled slightly. "He's free," he murmured. Maya looked at him, her eyes calm. Her tablet spoke. "So are you." That night, Victor couldn't sleep. The rain tapped on the glass like a confession. He stood in his study, watching the forest through the reflection of his own face. For the first time he didn't recognize the man in the mirror, and he was grateful for that. The next morning, the Hale Sanctuary website went live. At the top, in quiet lettering, were the words "The Maya Protocol, learning to listen." The page described her method: distance, breath, silence, patience. Beneath it, the tagline read, "Inspired by Maya. Dedicated to Leo." And far away, beyond the last fences, a gray wolf roamed the misty ridge, leaving footprints that filled slowly with rain. In her small bedroom, Maya arranged seashells on her windowsill by size, then broke the pattern with a smile. Her mother asked softly, "What are you thinking, sweetheart?" Maya pressed her device and played 3 words. Slow. Space. Home. Outside, the pines bent in the wind, and for a fleeting moment, Anna thought she heard something, soft, distant and wild, a howl not of sorrow but of peace. It echoed across the valley, over glass and steel, over all the walls people built to feel safe. It reached the heart of a man who once believed power was control. Now he knew better. Because some stories don't end with victory. They end with understanding. The girl hadn't tamed the wolf. She had freed him. And in doing so she freed them all.